Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. All right, Nick Wright, we try to bring him on as often as we can. So I'm going to start with something that I think you'll like.
Okay, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I mean, why opposed to starting with something that really pisses you off?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, let's start off on a good foot. By the way, I've decided this podcast, I'm drinking wine. I've decided to go classy. I figure you're going this hard liquor. No. By the end, you're going to be slurring. I'm going wine.
I'm going Diet Coke. So.
Oh, I'm drinking alone? Oh, that was not part of the deal. Now you're really going to have the upper hand by the end of this thing, but go ahead.
So I've kind of stayed out of all Aaron Rodgers' political opinions and vaccine. I can disagree with stuff, but I also believe Aaron has a right to an opinion. I can disagree, a dissenting opinion. I don't really care. But I think there is a personality trait, a couple of them with Aaron that are fairly obvious. Number one, he doesn't like authority. He struggled with his parents, his brother, Green Bay's front office. He pushes back on the media, the government. That's okay. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, that was known as a liberal, a hippie in the 60s, right? So I'm okay with that. The other one is Aaron is absolutely sure he's the smartest guy in the room. And it comes across in every interview. Think about this. Forget all the government vaccine stuff. Robert Kennedy, conspiracy theories. Look at his football decision. He chose an offense, a defensive coach, not a successful offensive coach, because he wanted the Jets. He liked the Jets. They have one player, Garrett Wilson, that could start for the Packers. One. Green Bay has the friendliest offensive salary cap for the next 5 years. They're not paying either tight end. 5 receivers. The offensive line, all 5 start over the Jets. Even Aaron Jones, to me, is a bigger, stronger version of Breece Hall. So his football decisions stink. That he really, really believed Jets is going to be a great fit. They have one player. If Garrett Wilson twists his ankle, they don't have a player that can start for the Packers. When you watch Green Bay beat Dallas, if you don't believe it's a fluke and you believe it's players, that game wasn't competitive. Green Bay is stacked with talent.
Well, there's a lot of Green Bay angles here to go to. There's a fun, remind me once we get on with the Rodgers stuff to ask you a Jordan Love question that I was asked today. So, all right, you said on the front end, don't care about Aaron Rodgers, political opinion, stances, vaccine status. I don't either. And he, in my opinion, uses that as a shield, meaning any criticism of him, he's like, oh, you don't like me. He is using the fact that some people criticized him about being unvaccinated. I think more people criticized him about lying about it. And then any negative attention he gets, he can be like, oh, that's not because you're actually engaging with what I've done. You hate me for this reason, which is just nonsense because Lamar Jackson's never been more popular. I don't think he was vaccinated. Kirk Cousins is one of the most well-liked post-quarterback series.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterbacks in the league. I know he's not vaccinated. So it's not about that, but this is someone who's, in your life or someone that a family member who's like, yeah, nobody invites me around anymore because they don't want to hear the truth. And it's like, no, it's because you're an asshole. Like it's not our failing, it's yours. So that stuff does irritate me. I'm not going to act like it doesn't. But as you cannot in modern America not have people in your life that you love, care about, and spend time with that have different opinions on, be it COVID, the upcoming election, a lot of things. Like nobody is that in a bubble. So we all know how to deal with people we disagree with. Some of the people we love and care about the most. So that's not it. Now you mentioned the football thing. So I think that was ego. I don't think it was purely, I think the Jets are better than the Packers. I think it was he probably underrated what the Packers could be because they were mediocre last year with him, and he doesn't have the self-awareness to be like, well, I was mediocre last year. Like, you weren't getting A+ Aaron Rodgers last year, and in fact, there was a great moment when he was on McAfee last season when I think it was after the first Lions game or something, when the Packers were, before they had started winning those games, where he just kind of says out of nowhere, he's like, yeah, and my coach said that was my highest graded game of the year and a loss. And it's like, oh, this guy just can't acknowledge that he might be part of their team struggling. So I think that's the first part of it. And the second part of it is, I think he thought, okay, well, it doesn't matter what the Jets have. Once they have me, they'll be awesome. And I think that's one thing for Aaron to be that. And by the way, that might have been true a decade ago. It's not true at 39 in the AFC, in that, that division. But it's another thing for the Jets a year into the experience. Now, they are not getting the Aaron Rodgers they thought they were getting, whatever they thought they were. They're getting a player a year older, off an Achilles, a year more removed from football, from good football. I mean, that game Jordan Love played was the best quarterback play the Packers have gotten in a playoff game in 7 years.
Yeah.
Look it up. And now he played phenomenally, so that's a high bar. So I think it is ego and being delusional. Like, I know this probably makes you a little uncomfortable because I often use you when I'm talking to you in analogies. But I think, you made a decision in your career almost a decade ago to go from a more stable place to not quite a startup, whatever it is. I would argue that would be maybe a poor decision for 70-year-old Colin Cowherd to make.
Right.
To be like, you know what? I can carry and build this new thing. Aaron's 70 in football years. Yeah. To think I can, go LeBron the Cavs the second time around this for the Jets. No, you can't. And so I think the Jets are, I looked around the league. Mike Vrabel, been to an AFC title game, gotten the 1 seed with Tennessee. Couple down years, not good enough. We got to move on. Bill Belichick, obviously won 6 Super Bowls, went to 9. Also went to the playoffs with Mac Jones. 2 down years, not good enough. Got to move on. The other coach that was just fired after 2 bad years, I'll remember it. It was doesn't matter. But we're talking about all these coaches moving on, and then you look at the Jets, who it's like, well, our coach wins 30% of his games, has 2 career wins against the division, has been there 3 years. Good enough. Let's stay there. You look at these coaches where it wasn't good enough, and then you look at Bob Saleh, who they're like, yeah, let's run that back. And it's because that's what Aaron wants. And so then you do have to ask yourself the question, is what Aaron wants right now the best chance at winning or the most power possible? Do I want the best coach I can get, or do I want a coach who knows the reason he has the job is thanks to me, and therefore I run the whole operation?
Yeah, I always feel in sports and in our business, it's wins. Like in our business, I don't care about anything other than in radio, my revenue is great right now, highest ad rates I've ever had. And in TV, my ratings are my highest. At the volume, we're crushing. Like, to me, it's not about me. It's about the unit. If the unit's good, that exerts pressure on everybody around you because nobody wants to break up winning. Right? If you're winning, and your show, by the way, is doing great, nobody wants to screw that up, right? They want to extend it. So to Aaron, it's really crazy. Did he have the forethought with all these super young players for Green Bay? He saw them. He saw Dobbs and Christian Watson. He knew they were talented. Did he not think, Jesus, if I hang around here for 3 years, you don't have to pay them. These are tremendous players. I mean, Aaron has to have some, like,
in the easier conference, and a lot of factors there. And so I don't think that. I don't think he thought those guys were that good because they didn't succeed last year, and he can't. I don't think he has the self-awareness to be like, how much of that was on me? if you operate from a place of, I am always excellent, I am always producing excellence, and the results aren't excellent, then I think you're like, well, this place sucks.
Listen, if Brady was in New England and they would have had Dobbs, Christian Watson,
Jaden Reed this year, who I know Aaron didn't have, but go ahead. Yep.
Tom wouldn't have left. Tom was too smart. Tom left. I remember specifically on the sidelines during a New England game when he yelled at the receivers, just get open. Yeah. His problem was New England's last 7 drafts with Belichick, 2 Pro Bowlers, one's a punter.
Yeah.
Tom would have stayed. He was frustrated. I was told he was frustrated for 3 years before he left. The idea, and by the way, where did Tom choose? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Bruce Arians. Where did Stafford choose? McVay, Cooper Kupp, Andrew Whitworth. Aaron literally left this bevy of super talented kids, saw them, knew, by the way, in the following draft, they were going to go heavy tight end, and it was all you had to do was go to one mock draft. It was the best tight end class when he was leaving. And Green Bay, they drafted 2, I think, but in the second round or third. So the takeaway is, did Aaron ever get out of himself and go, this is all about having the right pieces? When Peyton Manning chose Denver, go look at their pieces, their O-line, their receiver, their tight end. It is remarkable that he didn't look at all that Green Bay talent that was on display Sunday. Now, some of it hadn't been drafted yet, and go, God, look how good they are now.